DTF versus DTG, which one's best for you and what's the difference? DTF stands for direct to film, and that's when a printer prints on a sheet, you take that sheet, put it onto a garment, heat press it, and boom, your design is now onto the garment. DTG stands for direct to garment, and this, as the name entails, the printer prints directly on top of the garment. No transfer required. So when should you use DTF and when should you use DTG? So DTG is best if you have any opacity or fading in your design, because DTG is able to capture that kind of detail. It's also best if you want little to no hand feel on your design, and that just means when you run your hand over the t-shirt with the design on it, the design is going to feel like it's part of the fabric or very close to it. So there'll be little to no feeling of the print being there. So when should you use DTF? DTF is very versatile. It can capture just as much detail as DTG, but it's often cheaper and quicker. So if your design is solid and it has no fading or opacity, then DTF is an excellent option. So that leads us on to the pros and cons of each. The pros of DTG are that there's little to no hand feel and you can capture opacity, which is common in things like graphic tees. The cons of DTG are as follows. DTG is more expensive than DTF, and that's because there's more labor and more steps involved. The garment that you're printing on needs to be 100% cotton for DTG, and that's because DTG only works with natural fibers. And finally, DTG fades over time, so after a few wash cycles the print is going to look more faded compared to when it was new. Okay, so moving on to the pros and cons of DTF. DTF is going to be cheaper compared to DTG because there's less steps involved and less labor as well. DTF will be more durable compared to DTG in terms of fading. So as long as you have a good DTF printer like we do, then the print won't fade over time as much as DTG will. And DTF works on all fibers, so if you have 100% cotton, 50% cotton, 50% polyester, even 100% polyester, DTF works on them all. And lastly, DTF is also quicker compared to DTG, again because there's less steps involved. Finally, what are the cons of DTF? So DTF can't capture opacity. Again, we mentioned DTG can, DTF can't. So if you have any opacity or fading in your design, then DTG will be the better option. DTF can have a plasticky feel on the garments where the print is, and that's especially important if you're using lightweight garments. For example, if you're using a 180 GSM t-shirt to print using DTF on and the print is big and blocky, you're definitely going to be able to feel the plasticky kind of effect of that. However, it's not much of an issue on heavier weight garments like our 300 GSM t-shirts or 500 GSM hoodies, but it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're using lighter weight garments, especially if your print is big and blocky. Another con of DTF is that the prints can crack and peel over time if you have a poor quality DTF printer. If you're using very cheap DTF transfers, this is going to happen. However, if you decide to go with us, we use top of the range printers, so it's not really an issue that we suffer from. By now, you should have a good understanding of DTF and DTG and the differences. If you're still confused, drop a message and I'm more than happy to help. If you want your designs brought to life in high quality, make sure you message us and I'm sure we can figure something out.